Hi, David Price here as we continue our journey on how to chair a meeting. We're going to look at formalities and protocols now. And these are really important that you get them right. You can't afford to get formalities and protocols wrong. Let's look at formalities first of all. There's not many you need to do and you can write them on a list. They're really easy to remember. First of all, you've got to open a meeting. It's in some places a legal requirement that a meeting is opened, but certainly a custom requirement that a meeting is opened. So everyone knows, okay, we're now in the meeting. The second thing you need to do is the welcomes and the thank you for attending, the pleasantries, the courtesies for the people who are there. Next, you need to make sure that you welcome any special guests who may be there. Now, special guests, there's a huge range of people that could be special guests. If you're in a community group, it could be life members, it could be past presidents, it could be people from the governing body from outside the state or even outside the country, a whole range of people. So make sure you get the invitation of the welcoming of special guests right, because it's important. Then you need to call for apologies. Apologies are important, and it's important that you, the chair, understand apologies are not a list of the people who are not present. Apologies are people who have taken the time and the effort to communicate with you or the minute taker or any of the other people present that they will not be at the meeting and they want their apologies recorded. In some places, the apologies becomes a legal situation. So you can't just write down a list of the people who aren't there and call them apologies. They're not apologies unless they've asked for their apologies to be recorded. And then you explain any ground rules, and we've covered that separately in this course, the ground rules that may be necessary for the effective conduct of the meeting. And then the meeting runs, and then the final formality, of course, is to close the meeting. So that's just as important as opening the meeting. People know when it's opened. In many cases, it's more important to know when the meeting is closed, because a lot of people tend to keep discussing things, particularly in community groups, and they think the meeting's still open, but it may in fact be closed. So you need to be precise about that. Now let's talk about protocols, and that's a little different to the formalities. The formalities, I mean the things that you need to do at every meeting, but the protocols are very different, and they may be some legal protocols, but more likely they're going to be protocols that are a result of the customs of your organisation. Now, one of the protocols that's important in Australia and New Zealand and in other parts of the world as well, although it may be called something differently, is what we call the welcome to country or an acknowledgement of country, and it's done on behalf of the Indigenous people or for Indigenous people if they're present. So that's a really important protocol. If you are in an organisation which does that, then it's important to not only make sure it's done, but also done correctly and also done by the right person. Many organisations have what they call a charge, and a charge is simply a document that's been prepared, and it says something like, we all meet here to work towards the greatest good for the greatest number, and we come here in a spirit of compromise and good faith to make good decisions. And sometimes that charge is read at the beginning of every meeting. It's not common, in fact it's very rare, but when it is used it can be quite powerful. And there's nothing to stop you starting to implement the reading of a charge, by the way. There's a copy of an example charge in the notes to this program. And then there might be the reading of, or not as well as, usually separately, the reading of a pledge or the mission for the organisation. That can be something that is a protocol in some organisations. And it's very important for you to do a couple of other things. The first is make sure you get titles right. If people are in the possession of titles for your organisation, then make sure you use them. A life member, for instance. Some organisations have what they call a freeman. Some people have a fellow. Now, you may or may not need to use them. The custom of your organisation will dictate that. But if the custom is that they're used, make sure you use them. It's really upsetting for some people who have a title when it's not used. And finally, decide on whether you're going to use first names or last names? What is the custom of your organisation? Do you call people by their first name, George and Mandy, or do you call them by their last name, Mr. Stevens and Mrs. Peterson? Decide. You need to decide, but be consistent. Don't use first names for some people and surnames for other, with one exception. Some people who are a little older sometimes prefer to be called Mr. Brown, while younger people may prefer to be called by their first name. You make that decision, but make sure you do whatever's right. So with formalities and protocols, get it right.